Hi, hello everyone, and I hope you can see me and hear me okay, and everything is nice and clear there. So my name is Izzy. I am a co-owner and co-founder of Creatos Media, digital marketing agency based near Birmingham, but we're fully remote now. And I'm here with you today to chat to you and to my lovely guest, who I'm going to introduce in a minute, about running a business whilst raising kids. So let's dive right into it. I'm here with Steph, Amanda, and Philip, all incredible parents of incredible children who also are business owners. So, without further ado, Steph, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do and everything?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Steph Honey and I run Dear Charlie, which is a multidisciplinary branding studio. And we help people figure out brand strategy and create brand identities, as well as focus on brand touch points as well. So we're kind of like one-stop branding for everybody. We mainly focus on female entrepreneurs. And yeah, so that's a bit about me. I'll pass. Shall I pass to Amanda?
Sure, yeah. Amanda, do you want to go?
Lovely, thanks, Steph. So I'm Amanda White. I run a small sort of freelance business, mainly focusing on SEO and PPC. And I have a little boy who is 2.5, and he's quite crazy, and he's kind of the reason why I went self-employed. But yeah, so that's me.
Philip?
Yeah. So hi, my name is Philip. I'm also part of Creatos Media. I'm head of performance marketing, so I'm more on the paid side of digital marketing, if you say so. So deal with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, affiliate marketing. So anything you can probably think of. And I have a 2-year-old boy.
Yes, same here because I didn't mention, right? So I'm a mom of a 2-year-old, the same one actually. So, and Steph, you didn't tell us about your little boy, right?
I didn't. So mine is my son is called Charlie, hence Dear Charlie. So the business is named after him, and he is 10 years old. So he's a lot older than your lot, but hopefully I'll be able to bring a bit of a different perspective for older kids.
Yes, definitely. That's what I was thinking when we actually got together, and I've learned that Steph got a bit older child. Therefore, we're gonna bring a bit different perspective in it. Okay, so why don't we tell our viewers why did we all started the businesses? Why did you actually got into, what was the idea? Why did you got into running a business? Steph, do you want to? I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, Steph.
No,
You're just next to me here.
So I started my business. I keep saying 10 years ago, but actually the idea came about 11 years ago. But prior to that, I'd always been very creative. I started building websites at the age of like 13, for like the local bands and stuff like that, that were wanted like their events all displayed on a website, and I was doing graphic design as well, so doing flyers for them and creating their little logos. So that was all at the age of 13, and then it kind of took a bit of a back burner. And when I was pregnant with Charlie, I was writing this lovely letter that I'd been inspired to write, basically explaining everything that myself and my husband have done with our life. And there was something missing, that I had spent my majority of my life in employed work, and whilst that's absolutely fine, I knew that it didn't feel right for me, and I wasn't putting my full potential out there. And I wanted to do something that I know he would be proud of. And he is proud of it. He's now obviously 10, and he tells me, he goes into school and he tells everybody that he's really proud of me, and that his mum's really creative. And I obviously wanted him to give him something to aspire to be, that you can do anything that you want to in life if you put your mind to it, and that don't let anybody or any negative naysayers that might be out there ever put you down and diminish what you want to go out and do. So that is really how the idea came about. But yeah, then I obviously started it up. just doing little graphic design jobs here and there, freelancing. And I was part-time for 8 years. And then in October 2019, which was a fantastic time just before COVID, to go back into full-time business. But Dear Charlie became full-time. But I'm so glad that I did, irrespective of everything that we've had to go through. It's been an absolutely fantastic journey. And I'd already got some, obviously, experience with having done it for 8 years part-time. So that's in a nutshell, very briefly.
That sounds absolutely amazing, and I love the fact that we both started our businesses when we were pregnant. I was pregnant as well when I started mine, but I'll tell you about it in a second. Amanda, do you want to go?
Brilliant, thank you, Izzy. So my business is fairly new. It's in its infancy still. I also, whilst pregnant, I was working full-time in an employed role. But when I went on to maternity leave, financially, things were not great on maternity pay. It's not a great place to be in after being sort of full-time employed. So I started just doing a little bit of freelance on the side, a little bit during nap times, evenings, weekends, just doing a little bit to make the books work. And then I went back to work literally a few months, and then likewise 2019, COVID, 2020, it all sort of changed perspective on life. And I was quite fortunate in some respects because I was put onto furlough, which meant I just had the brain space to think, do I want to run a business or do I want to go back to employed? Because my original plan was to go back 5 days a week after doing a bit of part-time. And as lockdowns and furloughs and COVID and everything started to happen, going back to an office, crowded office, lots of people, it just didn't feel the thing I wanted to do anymore. And actually I had the time to think about starting up my own business, which I've worked in my industry for over 10 years. I should know what I'm doing, but running a business, that's a whole new ballgame. With a toddler, let's just make the most hardcore, crazy decisions of my life and let's throw it all into the mix during a pandemic. So, I was really fortunate. I joined a mentorship program, met lovely Izzy. I also joined a local sort of community business group that helps startup businesses get off the ground. So with a lot of help and support, I stepped a little bit more into running my own business, and I've literally been full-time self-employed for 2 months now.
That's great. It's not like I didn't know that. I knew that, but it still sounds great. Philip, do you want to go?
Yeah,
and then I'll fill in.
Yeah, exactly. So I've always wanted to run a business even before university time. So I always designed the websites, did some graphic stuff, and somehow it turned out that I just did marketing. So I did freelancing since I finished university in 2014 for a company, which then later on I got employed by. And at the same time, I've met Izzy. Well, I've met Izzy again, and decided that it would be a good time to join forces and run a business together. So yeah, it was always in the kind of back of my head to do something for myself, and also to work with other businesses and try to grow different businesses and clients. So yeah, it was interesting journey, I would have to say. And obviously then we had COVID. You could work from home, which I think kind of helped us a lot. And then yeah, we're here, and Izzy can probably fill the gaps of Creatos Media.
Yes. So with me, it was I've started when I was pregnant, which is when my full-time running business started, and that's when Creatos Media got registered and then as a limited company and become a company. But I've actually I've started working in digital marketing industry when I was in my second year of uni, and at the same time, because I was at uni and I wasn't working full time, I was always trying to get some extra roles to earn some extra money, and I got introduced to freelancing. And I was fortunate enough that all of my bosses, when I was employed, been very happy for me to do that, as long as I obviously filled in all my employed requirements, and I could, in my free time, I could do whatever I wanted, which was usually freelancing. And then in October 2018, I've decided this is the time that we want to go. This is a good time to go full time well, not freelance, but to register a company and to become a company and to do it full time. And that's when we found out that we were pregnant as well. But I thought, and I remember some of my family members being saying like, no, don't do that now. Like it's really a bad idea. And I was like, no, actually, I feel it's a good move. I feel it's a good idea, and I don't think being pregnant is something that should stop me. Because obviously, as Steph said, I also wanted, like, I felt I wanted to do it this way when I've got a child. So yeah, that's how it started. And as Filip said, for us, the working from home and doing everything online has been actually helping us, because we had a very small child at home, which our son only started nursery this year. So it was a crazy journey, but it was good. So we know how we started. How do you guys find it? Do you like it? Would you go back? Would you stop if you could turn back time? Would you just stay employed? Steph, what would you do?
No. I am going to be nice, but no, I would not go back. I've said this a few times now to people, that I don't think that I am employable anymore. It's almost like I've come to the dark side, but it's not a dark side. I absolutely love it. But I don't think I could work for anybody again. I love the freedom that it brings me. I love the both financially and time with my son, which, I just, you can't put a price on that. It's absolutely amazing. But I think, especially I find within this industry, the design and, web and all of that kind of stuff, that it's a very competitive, especially for it's competitive for all, but especially for females, I think, because there is obviously the gender pay gap and stuff like that, which isn't great at all. And yeah, so I don't think I could go back to that. I'm much more happier doing this, and if my son's poorly, I can take the time off with him. If I need to work in the evenings because he's been at home for whatever reason, then I can do it. And I make sure that I work with people that understand that. So definitely don't think I would ever go back. If I did, I'd go back kicking and screaming and carry on kicking and screaming.
Amanda, how about you? How do you find it?
I think Steph just pretty much answered me in a nutshell as well. Yeah, I definitely don't want to go back to employed. The freedom is just amazing. The sickness, if your children are poorly, that's happening a lot right now. And just, not worrying about letting somebody else down. It's your clients and you manage them. And if that means you're working in the evenings and the weekends to make it up, it's your decision. And that's just so empowering to be able to pick and choose when you work, who you work with, how you work. And that, for me as a mum now, is something I'd never thought about sort of 2 years ago. But now having this little person, it's like he's the priority, and then the work fits in around that. And that's just really amazing to have.
Okay, Filip, how about you? How do you find running a business?
Yeah, running business is great. Although I'm still employed with another company, so I'm trying to juggle both jobs. I'm trying to juggle family and obviously a little boy. So it is fun. Trying to find time is fun. But yeah, running your own business, I think everyone wants to do something for themselves, and most people do, because that opens up more opportunities for yourself and for the business. So if you want to get something more out of your life, I would say try to run something by yourself, because if you're going to work for someone, you're always going to work for someone. So you're going to get stuck in the position that you are in, and there's a roof. If you're working for someone, there's always a roof, and you cannot break through it, because you're never going to become a director of that company or a founder of that company, because someone found that company already. So that's my attitude, although I'm still juggling both.
So yeah, I think whereas I totally agree with Filip. I just want to say that I think not everyone is would be happy running a business. Basically, I think there are people who will feel better when they're when they're running their own thing, and there will be people who will feel better and will be happier working for someone else, and it's totally fine. It's just, it seems like none of us, like all of us, are the kind of people that like to run something for themselves. So answering my own question, I totally prefer running my own business, and it was always a plan. I always liked it, even when I was freelancing and being in employment. I always liked the part of managing my own clients and managing my own thing. So definitely, and I think what Amanda and Steph said, when Steph was speaking, I was thinking exactly what you said, Amanda. I was like, she is literally just taking the words of my mouth. Being able to spend time with your child, and when they're sick, when they, I don't know, when I remember when our little one was settling in the nursery, which has been really hard experience for me and him both. He was really unhappy. He's very happy there now, so it's all good. But he was very unhappy at the beginning. He didn't want to go, and just the ability of us being able to maybe take him home a bit earlier, or just bring him for 1 hour and then for 2 hours, which I know not everyone who is employed will have that luxury, because I know, and I appreciate there are companies out there that will allow you a lot of flexibility. There are also some companies that wouldn't, and or just because of the nature of the business, you just can't. It's not possible for you to do that kind of things. So I think this is the biggest for me. This is like the biggest advantage, which I wouldn't give up for. That, as Steph said, if I absolutely had to, then obviously, but. If not, then I wouldn't give it up.
I think the other advantage would be that I get paid as a business as well. I get paid a lot better. Obviously, I spoke about that gender pay gap as well. But you set your pricing, and so whilst the pricing might be the same as previous employers, although they're not copycatting, because I do believe that you price yourself where you need to be, not looking at your competitors. I think that money that where I worked before previously, they were pocketing that money, and I was getting like a very small percentage. Whereas, obviously you don't get to keep it all because you have to pay taxes and etc. But you get to keep a lot more than you would when you were employed as well. So there is that benefit as well.
I think following on. Oops, you're going to
go ahead, Amanda. Go ahead.
I think following on from that as well, you have more billable hours as well to yourself, because you're not commuting, you're not taking lunch breaks. When you are structured to take your lunch breaks, you can work the hours you want to when you want to, and I think you can be more profitable for doing that.
Yeah, and definitely there's this one more thing which I remember I've maybe not noticed, but it's like hit me even before I had our son, and before Creatos Media started, when I was only freelancing. I went into a shop, and it wasn't the time when making huge money from freelancing, but I wanted something, and I was like, that's fine. I can just take on more clients, and I can do it. Whereas if I only been employed, I'd be like, okay, so I need to either save up for some time, or who knows if I get a pay rise now, or maybe I don't. So I think it's just that freedom of, obviously we've got only certain time of hours in a day as well, but it's just that freedom of at least trying to make things work. If you want to grow, or if you need more money, even as a freelancer, you can you can take weekends, or you can take evenings. Whereas in employed role, it's not always the case that there is a possibility to make some extra money.
Yeah,
so
definitely. You get to pick who you work with as well when you're working for somebody else, and that's the other beauty of self-employment, that you get the choice. You can vet your clients, you can pick who you want to work for, and you can find the industry that you want to work within as well. Whereas if you're working for somebody else, and whilst, as you said earlier, it's absolutely fine if you feel that self-employment isn't for you. If you do fancy being self-employed, you get to pick who you want to work with. And if you think somebody is going to be difficult, then you can say no thank you. And that's it. Whereas obviously employment, you have to do the job because it's put on your desk and you are given that job to do.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So we know that we all love running our own businesses. How do you guys feel? And I know maybe Steph and Amanda, because you started when you already had kids, but what do you think, or how do you feel things are different, or even comparing when they've been very little and I don't know, slept a lot, which I found a bit easier, for example, comparing to now.
Yeah. So do you want to go first, Amanda, or should I?
Oh, you go
Come
first.
on,
Sam.
Amanda.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think obviously I had my son when my business was started. However, beforehand, I definitely had a lot more time when I was working in employment. You know, and I think as well you have a lot of you sometimes have that worry as well about finance not coming in and so on and so forth when you're first starting out. So there's that aspect that you have to take into consideration, I suppose. But yeah, the time was 100%, you know, the big thing. But even so now, time is obviously it's just a different kind of time. Before it was time like going out socializing and catching up with friends, and now it's about time with your child. So it's about putting those things in place, I suppose, those little processes to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed and that you make sure that you have time with your children still. But that's the only difference really that I see. Obviously, previously, I was obviously, you know, just doing bits of freelance here and there and yeah, and stuff like that. But that's all that I have to compare it to. So I'll pass over to Amanda.
I think I should have gone first. You've just taken my answer again. No, I think time is the biggest thing. I look back before my son and think, what did I do with my time? Like I literally went to work, came home from work, and that was it. Yet now I've got a child to learn how to look after. Like you don't get a manual with this is what they do here, this is what they do there. You have to learn every single thing. So you'll spend your evenings researching why are they doing this or why are they doing that. And then you're running a business. So you're doing all the sort of different things that you didn't used to do, like invoicing and prospecting and putting pictures together and all these different elements. And you think, how on earth am I squeezing all of this in perhaps part-time hours, evenings, weekends, and looking after and raising a child and learning how they function? And you think, what on earth did I do with my time before? Like how, like I wasn't going out every night, but I must have had a busier social life than having my business now. So yeah, definitely time.
I think it's definitely time, but I think it's more of a time management skills that you have to learn when running a business with a child. Because I know that it's gonna be more of a tip than maybe an answer. But what I've mentioned to you ladies before that and Philip to you definitely as well many times that you can plan something and you've got all this planned nicely and you've got like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and that's my to-do list and then they don't go to sleep or they decide they not going to bed at 9, they're gonna go to bed at 11, right? So or things like that. So I think the time management here is the key, that you have to always have this little bit of extra somewhere, like, you know, somewhere just in case something doesn't go up to the plan. Like I've stopped relying on nap times. Like at all, nap time is my time for me to watch a movie, to, I don't know, drink a hot coffee, which doesn't happen too often. Because if I rely that, okay, I'm going to do something on a nap time, it's nearly 100% there's not going to be a nap time because he just decided he's not going to sleep. So I think that's the biggest difference for me, because before, when I was even freelancing and doing my employed role, and I was studying and I was doing so many things, and I've been thinking that, Amanda, as well. I was thinking like, how did I find time to do it? Like, as I was also running fitness classes. I was taking piano lessons. I was doing all of that stuff. I was like, how was that possible? Now I can't even find time to drink a hot coffee. So I think the time management skills are definitely a key, and you have to, not even the skills, but actually changing these skills and adapting them to work with your toddler or even an older child, because you know they even that I think it's easier. And if it's not, please, Steph, don't get me out of this bubble of
It gets easier in a sense that obviously they can communicate and understand you, but when they hit 10, then obviously puberty starts to kick in and the arguments and, you know, and then they sit on Xboxes and goodness knows what, shouting at their friends, and you're like, I'm trying to have a meeting. Shouting.
Yeah, definitely different. There are just different, you know, struggles and different levels, I think. Okay, Philip,
Can I
do you want to go?
just
Because
add,
yeah,
just to add to it, this once you have a baby, at least for me, and I guess Izzy as well, it's when you use your assigning project tools like Asana the most. So you use it for work, you use it for real life. You connect your calendars.
yeah, you share calendars, exactly.
Yeah, I have in my calendar when our little boy is going to nursery, when Izzy is going for a treadmill, when we have meetings with each client, and trying to fit the best times for everyone, and trying to kind of move it if something happens, because there's always something that's going to happen, especially with the little baby boy who's running around, and plus we have 2 dogs, so that makes it more fun.
Do you have to colour code yours?
Sorry?
Do you colour code yours?
Yeah.
I do. I'm glad I'm not alone
So
on that.
I'm in blue and Izzy's in red, and I assign different colors to different clients depending on the meeting.
I think that makes it a bit more easy as well, doesn't it, to manage your day-to-day when it's
Definitely. And I've got personal with a different color as well, because I don't like having 2 calendars. I've got personal, like my treadmill run is green, but then my business stuff are blue.
So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
definitely do that, and I also do the school pickup times as well, because it links to like booking like Calendly links and stuff like that, so that nobody can book in during those times. It has to be booked out.
It sometimes sounds a bit funny, doesn't it? Because you technically would think, okay, I know when my child is in school or in preschool, like I know that, and I know not to book something on a pickup time, let's say. But sometimes, sometimes you also work with clients in different time zones and stuff like that, and you just be like, oh, okay, I'm free in that time, and like, oh, I'm not. Okay, I'm not. I've double booked. So that's like, for me, if like I never relied on an electronic calendar. I always been like, I loved my book calendar with my little quotes in and everything. But now it's too much. I need to. Now I'm like addicted to my Google Calendar. And I just look at it. I've looked at it even if I'm 100% sure I know everything. I look at it again just to make sure.
And I think you can be a bit more relaxed as well with that, because if you've got that flexibility and something happens, you go, okay, open the calendar, drag that across to the next week. I've got time, I've got space, I can see where I can put it. No drama, chill out, look after the sicky child. And you don't get stressed about things. You don't have to, oh no, I've got to phone in work again. I've got to say I'm sick again because he's been sick so many times. And it's just that it feels much calmer. And I think that having that flexibility is just really nice.
Yeah, definitely. I can't really say for people who are in employment with children, because I've never been. But knowing myself, having to phone in every time saying like, I'm sorry, he's sick again, he can't go, or I don't know, something else happened, I would probably get really stressed about it after a couple of times, being like, oh my God, should I? Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's like really bad, which I don't think it is. And I don't think people should feel this way, because obviously that's life. But that's how we do feel sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, sorry, Amanda.
I think this year as well, I think, everyone's got these super bugs and everyone's got more poorly, and the minute your child does a cough, you're like, whoa, okay, get him out of nursery, get him out. So I think we might feel more sensitive now because we're getting a few more bugs than maybe we were previously, but just, again, having that flexibility to actually, he is coughing, it doesn't matter, let's just keep him at home and we'll deal with it.
I was going to say, definitely from the perspective of having a child whilst I was employed as well. There's the added pressure that, like you say, versus self-employment, that if your child's poorly, you can just move things around and so on and so forth. With employment, you tend to eventually start feeling guilt. So my son has or did have epilepsy. So, and he was in hospital every like twice a week basically, and I would have to ring up and say, I can't come in because we're in hospital again. And eventually you could just hear the tone of the okay, and you end up then feeling a pressure on you that you're either going to get written up and get like a warning or whatever. And that was another obviously thing that pushed me to go full time with this, because I didn't want that. I didn't want to feel guilty that I was looking after my child when I'm his primary caregiver. So I shouldn't have to feel guilt around that. So there is that aspect as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I know for a fact, even without doing it, I would definitely feel like that after phoning a couple of times. I would start to feel guilty. I remember feeling guilty even for phoning when I had to go to the doctor. So yeah, I totally agree. So we nicely got to the point where obviously we talking about when children are sick. So we unfortunately we're in times of pandemic, and we had closures of schools and nurseries and workplaces working from home. How is that different? How did you find that? Was it a lot worse? Was it a lot more challenging? How did you find it different to pre-COVID times and pre-work from home mostly times?
Do you want me to
Who
start?
wants to go? Who wants to go?
I was pausing, so I keep taking him on.
No, yeah, I'll do it first. That's fine. So I was fortunate enough to obviously work from home for the brand I'm working and for the Creatos Media. So I was not everyone can get that luxury where they were used to working from home. So the only addition was the screaming baby in the background, which obviously you just tell everyone. That's what I love when I join the meetings. That's when the little one starts shouting, or he starts to play with toys and throwing stuff around just to make a noise. So I would always come to the meeting and say, guys, I have a baby, so it might be loud, just ignore it. But everything's going to be fine. But I remember at the beginning, it was a bit stressful to try to explain yourself why there might be a sound, or why there might be a dog barking, or baby screaming at the dog, or the other way around. So that I think that was the hardest part, but that's probably in my head, because people probably understand it and they're fine, and whoever's not fine with it, then tough on them, I guess. It's not like we have much choice, right? So once you have a baby, you have to take into consideration that it might be a bit loud, but I can just mute myself if I don't have to talk. So that's my tip for everyone who has a baby at home. Either when it's small or big, they're all loud, I guess. You just have to mute yourself, and whenever you need to speak, that's when you unmute. So yeah, that's the first step I would say to do.
So adding from that, I think from the pandemic, I think it's a lot more acceptable now. Like pre-pandemic, if you were having a phone call and somebody had the audacity to make a noise in the background, it would be very much frowned upon. Whereas now, it's entertainment value. If there's a child or the doorbell rings, and the amount of times I've been on a Zoom and then the doorbell goes and it's a delivery man and he wants to take a picture of and anything in, come on. But whereas now, I think it's much more accepted, and it's okay to have sort of slight distractions during Zoom calls, and it is the new normal.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, we can even ring up a call centre during COVID, couldn't we? And we could hear people with their children in the background and their employed. So why shouldn't it be acceptable for a self-employed person to do that? But yeah, definitely with the COVID thing, obviously, like for me, it was not the homeschooling, so managing those kind of things was difficult because my son's school laptop wasn't very good. So sometimes he would have to use mine, or we'd have to get out the tablet or whatever. But yeah, it was about managing it. And if sometimes we got so far and he was struggling with the work or whatever, then we just said to the teacher, who's really struggled with this today, and I can only teach so much. Some things I had to go relearn because I'd forgotten what a conjunction is and a subordinate clause and all that kind of stuff. And I was asking the Google Home half the time going, is this a subordinate clause? But no, clients were really understanding. As I said, a lot of the clients that I work with are female entrepreneurs anyway, so the majority of them do have children. Not all of them, but most of them. Some of them have children who've left home, but they still get it. They still understand, and I think they became a lot more compassionate over COVID as well.
Okay, I think like for me it was because I was working from home even before COVID, and I think I just look I don't want to sound bad, but like more normal now, that when people see me at home and the phone calls are at home and when, as you said, there is a screaming baby somewhere, it just looks like everyone else. Whereas before I'll be like, oh, not in the office, that's weird. So yeah, but definitely I can't really speak for people who, because our little one just started nursery now, so we've been used to, I think we've been lucky enough to be used to him being around and us trying to work it out. But obviously there have been struggles when we've been in a full lockdowns, and then you couldn't get any help, and you still had to do your work. So yeah, I think just many late nights and very early mornings. Like for me, I used to been starting like so crazily early just to get the work done before he wakes up, so that I can be with him. So yeah, just that kind of adjustments, I think. Okay, let's get to the fun part then. If you look back, what kind of mistakes did you make? What do you think, or at least what do you think were mistakes? And if you think you could prevent them in any way? If we think kids and business and running a business.
I'm going to go first on this one, mistakes. So I think booking out too much of your time, because you need that wiggle room for them being not even poorly, but dropping off and picking up, taking longer than you expect. And if you book out 100% of your time, even your admin time, and then something goes awry, even if it's a client that suddenly says, I really need this extra bit of work done, and you're fully booked, and then you've got a day off sick, it can cause an awful lot of stress. So I think just underselling yourself each month and just having that wiggle room. And then if you've got extra time at the end of the month, a bit of personal development, that's great. But I think, yeah, overselling is a definite mistake that I made at the beginning, and I won't be doing that again.
I think that's a very good one. That's definitely a good one, because as we said, with children, you do need this extra time. Like even in the morning, I would recommend waking up a bit earlier, because sometimes you might have to try to convince your child that going to the nursery in his pajamas is not really a good idea. So
yeah.
I've been there this morning. So how about you, Steph? Any mistakes that you think you could prevent, maybe?
Oh, crikey, lots of them. So obviously, first mistake that I made when I first started it out part-time was the booking thing. But now what I would say is that one of the key things was not vetting clients. So I obviously mentioned that earlier. And you ladies probably would have heard me speak about this morning in the Clubhouse app thing, and saying to somebody, you get to vet your clients. You don't have to work with everybody. And at the start, I was trying to be a people pleaser and try work with everybody and anybody. And yes, okay, whilst I am versatile, it didn't make me happy. It caused overwhelm, and I ended up working with some people that I probably didn't really want to work with, to be honest with you. And it's obviously not their fault. It's just that I wasn't. Our values weren't aligning, so we didn't, have the same outlook on life or outlook on business, and so there was sometimes not conflicts, not arguments, but conflicts of interest and certain things. So I would definitely say, start putting together, if you are thinking about this, who you want to work with, why you want to work with them, what do you want them to think and feel when they interact with you, and how are you really going to go about pushing that out there to make sure that you bring those people in, because it will make it so much more enjoyable. When you have clients that absolutely love and adore the stuff that you do for them, and that they have a smile on their face, and that you're getting referrals because you align with one another. So at the start, I didn't do that, and I tried to be a people pleaser. And I would just say to sit there and think about who you want to work with.
Yeah, that's a really... Sorry, Philip, go on.
No, just to add, I think to both of your points, it's time management. So that's the first thing. I think at the beginning I was leaving things for a bit too late in the day, because I was hoping that, oh yeah, he's gonna go to sleep probably at 8. So I'll have at least 4 hours, because I'll go to sleep quite late anyway. 4 or 5 hours to work on, and then turns out that he decided that he's gonna go to sleep at 11, and that happened a lot. So that's when you think in your head, okay, let's wake up a bit earlier in the morning, try to get stuff done, in the middle of the day or as much as possible, and then try not to leave anything for a bit too late, because that's when probably everything is gonna go wrong, and you won't have any time to do anything, or you're gonna have to stay until like 4 o'clock in the morning to finish whatever I planned for myself. So I think that was a big lesson. And picking clients, or the right clients for your business that you want to work with. I think that's a big one. Because I remember once we had a client that was trying to approach us for affiliate marketing, and it's just we couldn't communicate with him very well. But in my head, it was like, oh, that's the first client for affiliate marketing. Let's make it happen. And I was making contracts. I was making the like proposals and audits just to get that client, even though he was quite small anyway, but he wasn't right, and we couldn't communicate very well. But I was still pushing and wasting my own time on trying to capture it. And once he said, "Okay, let's do it," I decided, you know what, this is going to be hard, but I don't want to work with you because the communication is really bad. And in 2 or 3 months' time, if you're not going to listen to what I've got to say to you, or you're just going to ignore it, that's not going to work very well. The partnership works both ways. So if you want to help from the agency, you have to listen to the advisors and you have to communicate with the agency that you want to work with. If you ignoring me most of the times, and that's probably not going to work. And we just decided, okay, let's drop it, even though that was my first affiliate marketing client or lead. But I think that was a good choice. So it's making those tough decisions in your head and picking up the right people to work with yourself. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So kind of combining both points.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you guys now have something put in place then so that you can avoid that, like to vet your clients and things? Do you do like questionnaires or anything before you get in touch? Before you let them through the floodgate?
We usually do a call, don't we? That when we start a conversation and they kind of like, yeah, maybe we would like to work with you. We then do a call and then we evaluate if we. Obviously, they can say no at this point as well, but we evaluate that. Do we want to go ahead? How does that sound? Do we feel that it's a good fit, or don't we? I think we sometimes still make this mistake that, it sounds really cool. Even if that person doesn't sound 100%, then maybe we can make something out of it. I did that as well. Like and the funny thing is, it's not even for the money or they're like, oh, they're going to pay me a lot, but the project just sounds really cool. And you can see in your head that I could really make something out of it. But what we usually don't take into consideration, or at least what I didn't, and I hope I've learned that by now, and I think that's a really good advice for anyone, regardless if you're on a business whilst raising kids or not. But I usually, maybe not usually, but I used to kind of forget about the part that they actually have to work with me. My brilliant ideas and my everything that I can see for this business, it won't come true unless they're going to work with me, unless they're going to put their time in as well. And unfortunately, that did happen to us, that I've pushed to take the client on, but they wasn't really contributing, let's say. And I've been spending so much time, too much time even for the money that I was getting, but I was trying so hard. But then I've actually, at some point, I've realized, like, okay, it's not going to work, because they actually don't want to work with me. They think it seems like they want me to do everything without them doing anything. So I think that's really important, as I said, regardless how is your life and business set up, that we started the businesses in order to be able to be flexible and to be happy about what we do, and that's a huge part of it. Choosing the right clients is definitely a huge part of it, I think. And but for me, as a mistakes, just to answer, and I definitely let you, because I see Steph, you wanted to say something for that as well. No. As for the mistakes, I think definitely, because we all circle it about time management, don't we? So I think it's a huge thing, and I did those mistakes as well, and then I had to spend all weekends doing stuff, like even if I left something, if I leave something to the late hours, and I because I'm going to sleep like similar to our toddler, but as I said, nap times. I was at so many times, and I kept promising myself, okay, I won't leave it till the nap time, and I still did. I was like, oh, it's okay, there's going to be a nap time, and it wasn't. Sometimes also, if you rely on someone else's help, not the nursery, unless, well, now it actually might happen with nursery as well, but if your parents are helping you, or if you've got a nanny or something like that, you have to take into consideration that something might come up. They might get sick as well, because that happened to us as well. That I had client meetings, and then my mom phones in and she says, you know what, I'm sick. And I go, oh my God, what do I do? So you have to have that something just as a backup plan, right? I totally understand there's not always a possibility to do that, but just, at least try to have a backup plan. Or if the scene allows you, just inform your clients that, we can have a meeting this day, but this day is my child with a nanny day. So just in case something happens, please, don't hold it against me, because that might happen. And we do forget about this, that these people that help us can also get something like very, last minute. That's a big mistake I made as well. And then I've been getting, stressed and upset, and my mom's been getting stressed because she couldn't help me because she was sick or something. So that's a huge one as well. I think overselling your time is definitely a huge one as well, because you've got this, and I think it's the biggest struggle when you're starting, because you want to grow, you want to do so much, and you feel like, oh, I've got this time, I can do it, and then something happens, right? So I think it's better to do it slightly slower, but you're happy about it and you relax and you chill. And I'm gonna throw in something that actually one, I can't remember her name, Steph, if you do, please tell me. But one lady in a clubhouse this morning said to me, when I started talking about my huge growth plans for next year, to make time for yourself, because that's a mistake that we make as parents, probably, even if we don't run a business. But definitely at least a little bit of time. I don't know, go for a run or do whatever you enjoy doing. Use this nap time, which doesn't always happen, to do something for yourself, to read a book, or just lie down and relax, because we don't get much of this time. And if we forget about it, which also did happen to me, we start feeling down and low, and you try to find why do I feel this way? The business is going good, the child is happy, I've got all of this time which I'm spending working, and then you realize you haven't been for a walk in a few days, which did happen to me as well. So definitely don't make this mistake, and make time for yourself. Go out, go for a walk, anything that you enjoy doing.
There's definitely a priority list, isn't there? You focus on your business first, your son second, maybe your husband somewhere near the bottom, and then you're further down at the bottom, and you need to be up the top, because if you go down, who's going to run your business for you? So you need to look after yourself, and I think we're all guilty of not doing that enough.
100%. I think all parents and business owners, regardless if they both or one, they make this mistake that they don't take into consideration that exactly what you said, Amanda, and I think it's brilliant. If you go down, who's going to take care of a child? Okay, your husband, yes, but child needs both parents, right? Or if they have both parents, they want to have those both parents, not mother who is already down herself. And your business, exactly, who's going to run it for you if you go out sick, or you felt depressed or something? Who's going to do all of these things that you've tried so hard to keep up with? So that's a huge one, definitely.
And I think that flows back into the whole time management thing. If you're putting time in every single month for you time, whether that is, like you say, running on a treadmill, going for a walk, if you book that in as well, and then it doesn't quite happen, it's not the end of the world. But if you book it in and it does happen, then it's going to keep you a lot healthier, sort of mentally as well as physically. So I think it is really important.
100%. I've got a last question, and then we can take questions from ourselves or from the audience. Any tips, if you meant to give tips to anyone who is thinking of starting a business, but they're pregnant, they've got young children, they've got maybe older children, what would you say?
So I think I would say first things first is put together something. It doesn't, like a business plan, but it doesn't need to be an in-depth one to begin with. I think just put a bit of an outline out there of what you want to do, who you want to serve and all those kind of things. And really kind of, you don't have to have a full brand strategy. It's great if you can build one, but really take a bit of time out and look at those kind of things, because it will serve you well in the future. But as I said earlier, looking at who your ideal clients are, and what brand values you have, and just like planning like which social media you think they'll be hanging out on, so that you can start, if you're not already using it, familiarizing yourself with it. But we're all good at something. So if you're in employment at the moment and you want to then take that into your own business, then just start formulating a bit of a plan of action. And if you're worried financially about anything, like, make sure that you start putting money aside. I have a friend at the moment who has been doing that for the past year. She's been putting money aside so that in January she is going full time on her own business, but she's had a year's worth of savings. And I know that's not always easy for some people. So if that is the case, that you're not in a position to be able to save, then definitely do it, do it part-time, do it just, even if it's only like 1 or 2 evenings a week, just take a little bit of time out. If you're really passionate about doing this, don't let anybody, or any negative thoughts or anything like that stop you from potentially exploring the idea and then taking it and running with it. That would be my tip.
That's a good one. That's a very good tip. Who wants to go next?
I'll jump in there. I think that's brilliant advice. I mean, I am the biggest worrier in the world. I worry about absolutely everything under the sun. And I was super worried, even having the thought to set up my own business. It's like, no, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. But why can't I? Like, just having that confidence and having other people believe in you and having other people to talk to about it. I know me and Izzy spoke about this quite a bit, but at the start I was petrified. But there's no harm in starting small. And like you say, just one client a couple of evenings a week, and just test the water, see if you enjoy it, see how you get on, and then maybe creep up to a couple of evenings, 2 evenings, maybe a weekend day, and run it alongside your employed role for as long as you need to, until you've got that until you're comfortable, until you've got that confidence. And then, like you say, if you're saving, if you're building it all gradually, then if you feel this is right, you can then take the plunge without too much risk, because you've put in a lot of groundwork.
Sorry, I was just going to say, the other thing as well is I just want to say to cover people that check your contracts, because sometimes you're not allowed to do that. So just be careful. Don't take my advice if it's in your contract that you're not allowed to do that.
No, definitely. That's a great point. If you want to start part-time, definitely do check in the contract or with the employer if they're happy for you to do that, because they might not be. But I think that's both excellent points, and I just love the fact that we all circulate around similar things, which really shows to me that it's super important and super good advice, because it seems like everything. When I had the conversations about, how did you do that and why did you decide to do that, many people actually came back and said, like, well, what about money? What if I don't get any clients? Obviously I've got a child. If it's just me, I can probably get by somehow, but my child is like proper food and everything. So I think that the huge thing, and I'm similar to Amanda here, I worry about everything and anything. So like I honestly think my mind is looking for things to worry about sometimes. And putting the money aside to be able to cover my wages for at least 6 months has been huge for me, before actually going full time. It's like, I would say at least 6 months, it's gonna put your mind at so much ease. Just like, even if you don't get a client in the first month, you're gonna be happy and spending this time on promoting yourself, outreaching, talking to people, but you're gonna be, that's fine, because I've got my salary covered, and my children are gonna be happy, fed, and everything is gonna be good. So that would be my big advice, especially if you've got children. Not generally if you're starting a business, because that should happen, but especially if you've got children and you're worried about money, put the money aside. It's gonna make the experience so much more enjoyable, and you're gonna be so much less stressed in general, and it's just gonna be a lot better. And I think when you feel, that's my another tip and advice, when you feel that you can't do it, or it's just not, it's too much, it's you don't want to struggle with it, maybe I want to, but maybe I just stay in employed role because that's easier. Think about the advantages of it. Think that you're going to be able to enjoy every football game, or every dance recital, or whatever your children might want to do. You're going to be able to do school runs, you're going to be able to do school pickups, you will be able to juggle, obviously depending on the nature of your business, but usually you're going to be able to juggle your work life and your life, your family life, so much better, and it's gonna be so much easier for you, and you're not gonna miss on that many things with your children. And as we said, as Steph I think said at the beginning, you can't put price on these things. It's priceless. They're gonna be 2, 10, 15 only once, and then we blink and they're gonna be 30, and we're gonna be attending their weddings probably. So definitely, if you at some point feel like, oh no, just think about the advantages, because there are plenty, especially for parents, I think. How about you, Philip? I'm done.
So I think my advice would be to set yourself some targets. So if you're still employed, or if you're not employed and you just want to open your business, or if you're just taking care of your children, to set some targets on the way. So for example, I want to open my own business, I want to create the logo. So how long will it take you? You set yourself some time and see how long it takes you to get there. So you can always adjust the deadlines, but at least you have some kind of a goal behind yourself and to which you can aim at. Another thing is time yourself. See how much time you're using for each task throughout the day and throughout your life. So how much time you're spending watching TV? How much time you're spending, going for a walk? How much time you're spending making a meal? So, you can cut out the stuff that you don't need in your life. So you don't have to watch television. You can use 4 hours of watching television for, running your business or creating your business. So sometimes because I talk to students as well, and they say, oh, it's hard to set up anything, or it's hard to freelance. And I ask them, so how much time do you have in your day? And how much time you spending studying? So if you have 4 modules, you probably have at least 2 days, in the week to use that on something in your life. So it's either you go for a party, or you go for some kind of internship, or you create your own business. So it's always up to you where you want to spend time. So we all have the same amount of time, but it's our decision how we want to spend that time. And I know sometimes it's just hard, and sometimes we have children, we have work, we have family, but I can bet there's some time that you can move to something else, or you can remove it and to use it on your business. So if you have your better half, like I do, talk to each other, and find the best time when each of you can work, and try to make everything as equal as possible. So if we clean in the house, we both clean the house. It's not just one person job. If we making a shopping run, so I'm going for shopping, for example, and I'm taking child with me, so Izzy has more time. So it's just making those decisions and making sure that we help each other. And it's creating backup plans. You always have to have a backup plan for your backup plan, because with children, there's always something that's going to go wrong. They're going to start shouting, going to start smashing things, or they're going to start crying, or you just have to go to them. So yeah, you have to have idea of how you want to deal with things on the way. So yeah, I think with us is always time. So how you gonna use your time, and what you can sacrifice in your life. Sacrifice sounds very
big.
serious, yeah, but you have to sacrifice some things. So if you're socializing, if you like going to the pub and you're going twice a week, maybe just go once and use the other time to do something for your business. Or if you like watching television, is a great point. Television, your phone, Netflix, just time yourself how much time you're wasting on watching Netflix and how much more time you could use on doing something else. I think that's always a good point, especially to young moms who think they cannot do it, but I can bet they can.
I think I definitely agree. I just want to say that don't go too hardcore into cutting things that you might maybe enjoy. Maybe they're not 100% productive, but maybe you just like to sit for half an hour and I don't know, watch a talk show or something. If that's the case and that's what you need to kind of relax or switch off, do that. Just make sure you don't do it all the time and you don't spend all of your free time, which you could spend on something better. But I would say don't go too hardcore in any direction. But
if you think how much time we're wasting on our phones sometimes just by scrolling up and down, that's a big time saver.
I agree. I'm just saying that if there is something that helps you switch off, or for half an hour, it's fine. You can, as we said, we need these things, right? But I think it's a very great tip, which I meant to mention as well, that finding these times that work for you. Like with us, we are very fortunate because I work a lot better in the mornings. So I wake up very early when sometimes on the weekends when they still asleep, and I do my work. And then Philip works better in the afternoons and in the evenings. So I take the little one to bed, and then he can do, if he needs to do something else, then he does that. So that's a big advice as well. So we are nearly on an hour. So any final thoughts? Any final pieces of wisdom from the amazing parents we've got here?
I think I've absolutely loved what you said, and actually what you said about swapping out. So I am a bit of a Netflix binger, and I do have to be careful. But what I've done recently is I still allow myself that time, but I've reduced it, and now what I'm using is, like, I've signed up for Skillshare, and I look at YouTube video and I learn stuff that can help benefit the business. And so I use some of that time now to do that. So I'm like, right, okay, I need to go research, there's this new thing that's happened or whatever. Let's go have a look and see if anybody's doing a talk on it, or or so on and so forth, or I'll use it to do general admin. I think the one thing that I would say though as well about admin is, when you're starting a business, is so I technically only do a 4-day week. My 5th day is I don't work with any clients on that day. It is me spending time having a bit of me time, but also doing like the admin and the upkeep and all the stuff that needs to be done. So definitely I would say give yourself a day of admin if you don't have an admin staff on your books or whatever, and you are literally just a startup and it is you on your own. So that's one thing that I would say, is allow yourself to have that day, whether it be sending out invoices, or whether it is learning something new, or it's adding like a blog to your website, or posting a social media post. And I think that's just really, really important. So that would be my tip.
I would say that's a little bit like treat yourself as your own client, as you treat your own client, right? Especially if we worried about finances and stuff like that. Doing this brings you in front of your potential client. So don't forget about this part, because that's super important. That I would say that's equally important as working on your clients, to work on your own business and give yourself this day. But I love the idea about the day with a me time. I have to start doing that you've got this one day that you do a bit of your business work, and then you just have some time for yourself. I think I need to start doing that. Anyone else? Any final thoughts, advice?
I've got one tip. If you're still employed, I mean, or even if you're working for yourself, I used to listen to music quite a lot, and I've switched that for ebooks now, or just listening to conferences. So if you like that, obviously, and if you can still focus on your tasks. So I like listening to something, and if it's a business meeting, or if it's business talk, or a music, sometimes it's just better to pick something to relate with the business. And obviously, sometimes you just need to switch your brain off and just go back to music, so you can play around with it. So sometimes that's a good idea to try to. I know it's cramming a lot of things at once, but I think that's my method, trying to use your time in the best way possible. So I used to drive to work as well, and decided, okay, this is a waste of time. I was driving from where we live in Tamworth to London, and okay, that's a bad idea. I need to take train. Train takes shorter, and you can do something on the train. You can either do it for your business, or you can do it for your work, or you can do it for your social, or you can just read a book. So you also get like an hour of me time. You can play around with that.
True. Amanda, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. Any final thoughts?
I think the me time. I think everyone thinks that when you start a business, it's all go, go, go. And then when you're a business owner and a mum, you're thinking business child. And it's not a bad idea to think about yourself. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be learning for me, or I should be working on clients, or I should be looking after my child. But I think it is okay to put yourself first. And if you need half hour in front of the TV, or if you need to go for a run, or if you need to just go shopping for the afternoon without the child to give you a bit of mental space because they've been doing your head in for the whole week. It's okay. And actually having that break will make you a better business owner and give better service to your clients. I think actually something I don't think everyone factors in is actually taking some time off.
100%. I'm guilty of that. If I sit down with my coffee, I'm thinking I could be doing business, or I could be cleaning the house, or I could be doing 100% other stuff, 100 other stuff. Whereas actually, if you need this half an hour, just take it, and it's fine, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. Especially if you juggle business and the motherhood or parenting, especially then, I think. All right, so I think we're coming to an end. Thank you, guys, for joining in and for talking about your experience. If everyone wants to put the Twitter handle or something like that in the comments section, so if someone wants to reach out to you, they can, if you want to, obviously. And yeah, the video is going to be here. If anyone's got any more questions or comments after the live is finished, I think we'll be all happy if you reach out to us, and and we'll be happy to answer. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And just to add, I love the fact that Izzy's in the Matrix and she's shifting around in the video.
I'm sorry.
But you can see how, even when things are not playing right, you can still do it.
It's been interesting.
That might be a Christmas present, new laptop.
He told me to switch my port at the very beginning, and that's why we've been back 30 seconds late, because I couldn't connect the second time. So and I'm still dancing. So I'm sorry. I'm in a child room. I don't have the best signal probably here or something. So, but still, we still did it. So that's great. Okay.
But this is just a great example of trying to run the business and do parenting stuff and obviously running webinars and trying to talk with people. And I'll be quiet now.
No, it's all good. Steph just messaged me. She can't comment here with her handle, so I'm gonna add it later on in the comments. I'm gonna add everyone.
It'll be on YouTube, so I think our handles are in the little.
Oh yeah, and you're 100% right. They all in the description. So just head to the description if you want to talk to us, and we all there. And thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you to everyone who hopefully will be watching at some point later on. And thank you to all of you guys for joining me and sharing your experience. I think all of the advice is absolutely brilliant. And I think everyone will agree with me that if you need some kind of, anyone from the audience needs some kind of encouragement, that it is doable. We are living proof, and we're happy to encourage you that it is doable, and it's actually a great idea. So thank you. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.